got a motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And real quick, you asked me dollar amounts. This is actually in the letter.
Yeah, that's
First
what,
paragraph.
Yeah,
So my 7% was
I
wrong.
read through that.
24, 26.
Okay, we ready for a motion?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve the request for the acting position of shop supervisor as requested.
We have a motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
You can get a sign approval form completed. I don't know that we can have it effective on Monday, just because it won't have ran through the process.
Because today's Thursday.
Yeah,
No, whatever works, we'll get her going.
maybe the
Okay.
following Monday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Do we
guys.
have anybody from Lincoln Bible Church? Come on up. Please state your name and the reason you're here.
My name is John Van Horn. I'm on the board of Income Bible Church, and I am here to try to get our exemption back for this year. We missed the notice in the last year's tax form that said you had to go to the website to do that, and our secretary missed it. And we've had a few things going on this past year, so we just spaced it and didn't get it in.
Okay? And that's what we tell, we've got other groups ahead of you. You are entitled to this. It is your obligation to file for it. We no longer send out notices. It is the obligation of the organization. Commissioner Rob?
Question we always ask is, has the use of the property changed? Is it still a
No,
church
it-
full-time?
Yeah, still a full-time church, yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve the request for the property tax exemption as requested.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Masonic? Anybody from Masonic Building? All right. Scott, looks like you're up.
Thank you very much. Scott Crowther, Event Director, Business Manager.
Janie Coulter, the event manager.
Okay, we got a handful of contracts before you today for your consideration. We'll start with Professional Truck Driver. Come up. It's never too early to start planning for Halloween.
I was impressed that you're here so fast. I
Yeah.
love it.
Not messing around. So for the last couple of years, we've hosted the Idaho State University's physics department as they've put on the haunted science laboratory. I think it's a great event. We've had a lot of good success, and Dr. Shropshire and his team are very easy to work with. They treat our facility well and usually clean it better than they got it. So we appreciate that. So we are asking for the fees to be waived for his event again this year.
How has your attendance been?
We had roughly 1,900 people attend, 1,600 in field trips during the week of right before Halloween, and 300 attended on a public day. We hope to have a greater attendance next year. This year, the field trips, I think, were limited due to District 25's challenges with not having enough bus drivers. So hopefully that will be a better situation next year.
The facilities must have worked out good.
Oh, it's wonderful.
I have no problem.
Yeah, it's a good event. So, Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve the contract for the haunted lab as presented.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right, next we're going to go to Snake River Doodles Haunted Fairgrounds. Bring them up. So last year we tried something new. We actually had a haunted house up in D Barn, and we partnered with the Snake River Doodles folks We did a 50-50 split on their sales after concessions, or after expenses. They were open for most of the month of October. We ended up bringing in about, at least our portion was about $1,700. That building has horse stalls in it, which typically we use during the summer, but we rarely use in the fall. So I thought that was a great way to monetize that building rather than let it sit. And I felt like it was a pretty good event, and we're looking to do the same thing this year.
What was your attendance like?
We had.
Please state your name.
My name is Nikki Jorgensen. I'm with Snake River Doodles, and we did 1,324 adults and 393 kids.
I can't remember, was this your first year doing that up there?
Yes.
The first year up there, yes.
So, that's a pretty good turnout for your first year, though. Well done. I like the partnership between both of us, so I'm okay with this.
The only word I would take out, and it's in line 5, facilities, shall have exclusive access to the bathrooms. I mean,
Yes.
I'd just take exclusive out there and have access to the building D and restrooms.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
it's-
agree with that.
It's not a,
So exclusive access to building D and access to the restrooms.
Yep.
And to be honest, with you, I don't know that we need to even put that in there. They, access to the restrooms are public, they're just public restrooms. So we could probably just take out and public restrooms. Is that okay?
yeah, I just didn't want something happening that you interpreted that you're the only ones who could use the restrooms and doing something in there that would
okay.
take the other people out of it.
Are you okay if we just remove that in there?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Chair, make a motion that we approve the contract with the amendment on the bathrooms as presented.
We have a motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Now we'll go to Pocatello Downs. Kyle?
I got a lot of questions on this.
So there's a couple of discussions related to Pocatello Downs. As you recall, last year we signed a contract. It was a 3-year contract with Pocatello Downs. The issue was the alcohol sales, being able to split alcohol sales. We know that that's not something that we're allowed to do, so we've got to renegotiate a new contract, and we went with a 1-year contract this time instead of a 3-year contract. And so last year, as part of the profit share, we were supposed to provide Pocatello Downs with some revenue from the alcohol sales, which we have yet to collect. We have not gotten any money from that, so they have not gotten any money from that. So they paid us the first half of their installment for last year's agreement, which was $10,000. They had not paid us the second half, and it's kind of a weird thing because we technically owe them money, and they would owe us money. We have sent notice to the people that owe us the money, and we have yet to receive any funds. From an accounting standpoint, the square system that was used shows alcohol sold, but does not necessarily differentiate where the alcohol was sold. So it makes it a little more difficult for me to provide you with an exact number of how much we would pay them. But my request is to simply kind of trade the money that we would owe them for the money that they owe us, and call last year even, and then we will collect the money that's owed to us, and we won't have to worry about any sort of profit share on that. That is my request for last year's contract.
Do you have any feeling for what that number is? What did we do the previous year in alcohol sales?
So these guys have sold roughly,
We made about 24,000.
Okay.
they make about 24,000 a year.
That's what I
in
was
alcohol
thinking, it was
sales.
about equal to the contract
Yeah.
amount.
And so that's one of the reasons as we look at this year's contract amount, that was one of my suggestion is we can't split the alcohol sales. Let's trade, we take 100% of the alcohol sales, split the concession sales, and then they have access to the track for their race days. They have a set number of trainer stalls, and then track when it's free, track access when it's free, which is a little bit different than we've done in the past. In the past, we just said that area up there is yours for the most part, with a few exceptions. This year, we're carving out a little bit more, and we're saying that you guys get to use it for these days. We have access to it the rest of the time. So, and essentially, we would trade the alcohol sales, 100% of the alcohol sales and 50% of the concession sales for the use of the facility for, I think it's 10 days.
Yeah, it's 10 days.
So, real quick, Pocatello Downs assumes all maintenance of the track for training, so we don't have to do that anymore.
No, we haven't done the training. That's one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons we don't have the equipment to do the track.
Right.
And so that was something we kind of left in there. They have it for the training sessions. They maintain the track for that. We do provide them water.
Okay.
That's kind of our big obligation.
And then, do we provide them with a tractor so they can pull their equipment for race
No.
days, or you have your own?
We have our own.
Okay.
Yeah. On race days, we give them a water truck and a driver.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So the contract is a little bit, we pared it down. What I found last year was there was times that we needed more stalls than we had. And honestly, there's stalls up there that Pocatello Downs has not been using all the time, has not been utilizing. And they've been really great to work with. If I called up and said, hey, can we use some of your stalls, it was fine. The issue was, is based on the contract, it was they were the ones that had the authority for those stalls first. This essentially cuts that back and just gives us the authority for the venue outside of the trainer stalls that they use.
Yeah, I like that, seeing that reduction there.
And then we just try to be pretty inclusive in the contract with what, there's like the office building that they've used, and that was something that I know I talked to Lacrina about, that you guys had been willing, even said they'd be willing to pay for the office rental. Because last year we just threw the office in the contract, the office was part of the
Right, saw that
contract.
in here.
They said that they'd be willing to pay for that if that was something that you would prefer. I think that it's a pretty fair deal, to be honest with you, if we sell the alcohol, take the full alcohol sales. Based off of past numbers, I think that we're gonna make more than we would have under our previous contract.
But you're also gonna have the man hours or the people to sell the alcohol now, where that wasn't included in the past.
It was kind of, because last year when we did it, we still had to pay, we split the percentage of the net, right? So we still did pay it, but we paid a lot more last year. So we will have a staff that are responsible to do that. And I think that my hope is that the concessions will pay for all of the alcohol sales. So.
So that 20,000, was that a net or a gross on the alcohol sales?
That was a net.
Okay. Okay. And
Okay. I'm willing for a one-year contract to see what happens.
Do you want to change that word, waived?
Yeah, I don't really care for the amount of 21,218 for 2023 shall be waived in transfer, in trade for alcohol sales.
Okay.
That means that they're entitled to it, in my opinion, the alcohol sales, where they're not.
Yeah.
It's not a trade, but in lieu of,
Okay.
In exchange for, something like that.
I don't want it to sound like later that
Okay.
it was something they're entitled to. But
So if we just put the amount shall be, for 2023 shall be in lieu of alcohol sales, does that sound okay? Brian, does that sound okay? Yeah. So I just take out waived in trade and I just replace it with in lieu of, is that okay?
yeah, you good with that?
Yeah, I'm okay with that then. And then one last question, how was the transition during high school rodeo week with getting in and out of your stalls and doing all that?
It was great. It was fine. I didn't have no issues, and none of the other people who were up there complained about it.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you doing that. That's a big event for the county as a
And,
whole.
I mean,
Well, I
like
want
Scott
to
said,
compliment
anytime
Kyle.
that they needed stalls,
I want to compliment
Free
Kyle.
time.
He's been very good to work with, and if Scott's had any concerns, they've been able to talk, and things haven't had to come to us like they have in the past.
that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Both Lacrina and Kyle have been great to work with over the last couple of years. They've really been amenable. So
All I know is our relationship with Pocatello Downs is 180% better than it was when I got here, so
We're hoping to keep it that way.
we appreciate that. So, Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we accept the rental agreement with Pocatello Downs with the changes as discussed
Motion, all in favor, say aye.
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 Great, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right. Anybody from PBSC here? Okay, so we have the PBSC contract. We work pretty close with PBSC United Soccer. They've been a great partner of ours. This is a 3-year contract. We have not been able, obviously there's no one here to represent PBSC. So if you would like, I can present the contract as it sits and we can go from there. It has been signed by Christy Stone, who is, I don't think she's the president, but she's one of the board members for PBSC. So they have signed the contract and agreed to it. If you'd like, I could present it as is and then we could move forward. It's your call.
Full contract?
Yeah, it's essentially the same contract. We added a 3% fee like we have done consistent with every other contract. There's really no changes over the past several years after the contract, as the only change is just the addition in the fee. And two, last year when it's a little bit more than a year ago when I came up here, this was a relationship we really worked on. I feel like PBSC has got a great program. I love the work that they do for us. One of the things that these guys do for us that never gets talked about, but you will know and you'll appreciate it, is the rocks on the field. Like every day before games, before practices, they go and clear that stuff for us. They really try to take care of the facility. And that's one of the things that we've talked to them about too, is they spend a lot of time doing service up at the facility without being asked to do service at the facility. But it's something they take care of and they take pride in.
What's their view of the condition of the fields the last year?
So in spring, they loved it. But the best thing that we have is we have a good relationship now. So last year, Wes called me and he said, hey, the grass is getting a little long. And so we started mowing more frequently. But I would not start mowing more frequently had I not had that conversation, because we're just up there just getting after it mowing. But we have a great relationship, and once he talked to me about that, I called him later and said, hey, how did everything turn out? He said that the grass was great. We still have problems that we know, mainly with the wellness complex side, and as it gets heavily used towards the end of the season, it gets really compacted and it starts getting hard. More on the wellness side than on the event center side. But we're going to try something this year where we try to get in there and slice it in the middle of the week, about halfway through the season. We'll water heavy, slice it, and then coordinate that. The issue we run into with soccer is just rotating fields, which we even had a discussion about how to rotate fields.
Right.
And we don't want to rotate the fields where balls are going to go onto Olympus. So we just have to change the size of the fields and the location. And that's kind of the big thing we do with those guys.
You sodding them holes?
I'm
Sorry.
We've got gophers working on it. We got gophers and digging and trying to break lines. So again, I think PBSC is a good partner, and we threw like I said, we threw the 3% on top of the old contract plus running forward.
And then there's another one, and it's not big. On the facilities, that they have the right to Pavilion 2. And then by the contract, that's every Monday through Friday from 4 to 8, the way I read it.
What do they use, Annie? What do they use Pavilion 2 for?
Pavilion 2, do you want me to come up there?
Yeah, please. And then just introduce yourself.
Annie Hughes, Event Center Coordinator. So they only will use Pavilion 2 on the championship days. Like it's 2 days in May that they'll be using it, and that's it.
Okay. Just reading the facilities and then
Yeah.
reading the overall, I
It's-
just wondered
Yes, it's just 2
about
days.
Pavilion 2 specifically.
We can put the specific dates in there.
I would ask for that.
Okay.
Again, just to be clear,
And
good
it's not
fences make good
exclusive
neighbors.
rides.
Yeah.
You good?
Yep.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve the contract for PVSC with the changes as discussed.
Have a motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and the last one we have is O'Reilly No Limits Monster Trucks and Thrill Show. So Ed, who is the owner of Checkered Flag Promotions, lives, I think, back east somewhere. Today did not work for him to be present, but he has signed the contract and was okay with us presenting it as is. So, monster trucks are a big deal, obviously. This is the monster truck show that has been held in ISU for several years. Typically, it's considered the big monster truck show. And so we've got them coming in on July 20th through the 23rd. They'll pay us the $2,000 rental fee for that time. We will take 100% of the alcohol, and then we will split concessions with them 50-50. In the past, the monster truck shows that we have done have generated a pretty good return for us in alcohol sales. It's a pretty good event. This will be the only monster truck show that we'll run this year. So although we have a lot of requests, this one's kind of nestled in the middle, and it kills the ability to do other shows later. But this is going to be a big one. We're excited for it.
So what is the cost of the upper end of the grandstands and everything, original cost?
So the $2,000 is the full cost for
Is that a
it.
one day?
No,
That's
for the
4 days?
I think it's 4 days, but it's 2 setup days. So on the setup days, it's a half charge, but it's essentially 2 event days, or no, is it 3 event days because they're doing Sunday too.
They're doing Sunday, so it's
So it'll be
500
3 event days, so 500 per day, and then set up and tear down days, which is 250. And so they're paying the full fee for the facility, and then our benefit really is going to be in the alcohol and the concession sales, which history has told us that there's alcohol bought at those things.
It's a good deal.
And I'm just looking at Holt Arena and how they're set up, I'm just not sure how we're gonna set up for them. Are they in charge of all setup, bringing in the dirt,
Yeah.
doing all the,
So typically what we do is we go in and we pool. I mean, it's relatively, it's a lot easier to set up for monster trucks than it is to set up for rodeos. But we'll typically go pool the center divider between the rodeo arena that's up there and the track. They'll take some of the dirt from the infield and they will create ramps using monster truck tires. They set the whole thing up and then they just grade it out and take it down. We do provide water trucks and that kind of stuff to help them water the arena. But we do that for all of our events regardless. We go up and water and prep the arena beforehand. From my staff standpoint, it's tearing down that center fence, putting that center fence back up, and probably ripping the track. But it's a minimal cost compared to just a regular rodeo flip. The rodeo flip's a little bit more in depth, but it's a pretty easy thing. The one thing I would look to do, to be honest with you, is look to find ways to increase the number of viewers. So it may be something that, maybe I reach out to Downey and see if we could borrow their bleachers, or not borrow, but obviously rent their bleachers. But bring the bleachers up to just increase the number, because if they could hold 7,000, they would probably sell 7,000. So
I think that's worth doing,
Yeah.
because if they can hold 7,000, that would be a little bit more alcohol sold, so.
yeah.
All right, I'm good unless you have anything else. Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve the monster truck agreement as presented.
have a motion, all in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you, gentlemen. That was heavy load.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Janie, how are things going?
It's a lot of information that I'm catching on, and been here for a month now, so I'm still here.
Good, good. That's a good sign.
Merry Christmas.
Thanks, you guys too.
All right, let's go to Ken Pappy. Gentlemen, staff,
Can we have one second for Jen Clark to come?
for what?
Jen
Yes.
Clark wanted to come.
Are you calling her? Thank you.
She's gonna text her and let us know.
You want me to call him right now? You ready for that?
Yeah.
Ken, this is Commissioner Jeff Huff. How are you today?
Great. How are you?
Good, good. Are you nice and warm?
No, it's 22 degrees this morning.
I thought you were in Arizona.
I am.
Well, what are you doing in a part of Arizona that's that cold?
They got snow all the way down to Phoenix.
Well, there you go. Serves you right. Trying to escape the cold. We're just a couple minutes out from getting started, but we wanted to get you on the phone. So if you want to just hold on for a second, we'll be started here. We're just waiting for the treasurer to make it down.
Okay. Yeah, this is pretty simple.
Yep.
We know the problems and we know the solutions.
Okay, we'll get started in just a second, Ken. Thank you.
Okay.
I mean, Ken's the problem, we're the solution.
Ken's the problem, you're the solution. Perfect. Perfect. Did you get all the paperwork that Nathan brought in this morning and yesterday?
Yes.
I think we have it all, yes.
Okay. Yeah, everything is pretty much, it's all right there in front of you, and, you know, it's pretty simple.
Okay, let's go ahead and Ken Pappy has made a request to meet with the commissioners on a property is assessed up in the Northgate area. And so, Ken, I'm gonna go ahead and give you a few minutes to say your part or piece, and then we'll have a conversation with those that are here.
Okay, I sent over a work session request form, item 1 through 8. Number 1, extremely high taxes than anybody else on the property. 2, Portneuf Development's paying property tax that Portneuf Development don't own. 3, Portneuf Development is paying urban renewal. We want that explained and how it came assessed urban renewal. As you go down and 4, all the parcels that we sold the Brewings, out of that 50, it'll be 58.39 acres. They took 37 acres. We collected their taxes, and there's urban renewal on that. Bottom line is, I see urban renewal taxes on it in everything east of Olympus on your paperwork. It will show from the city, urban renewal, all the boundaries on all the acreage, all the way up to hometown, millennials, Portneuf Health Trust. They are not paying it for undeveloped ground, and we're paying it for undeveloped ground. We need that answer. Why are we paying urban renewal, even on properties that we developed that wasn't supposed until we sell properties, then they collect urban renewal. Another question we got is why was the developer exemption taken off? Which I asked the assessor's office, and they said yes, we had it, and I filed in 2017. It was taken off in June. And one other question is, I've been calling and emailing the assessor's office for all my paperwork since June, which is in this paperwork that I gave you, 1 through 8, and I got emails, I have phone records that I need these answers, I need my paperwork for these meetings. If you look on Parcel Viewer, none of our property or who owns it is in Parcel Viewer. And I try to research that in June, July, nothing was in there. And if you pull it up right now, it's not in there yet. I got to collect Brewing's taxes that was sold in May. The 37 acres, which, comes out of that. I got the parcel numbers, which my partners should have gave you those to a tax bill statements that we're paying. But the bottom line is urban renewal should not be paid, or we need the developer exemption, and we are RCP. We have the RCP maps. You should have gave you this morning, which was filed in 2020. We refiled in commercial, and you still got it in commercial. It was RCP. And in June of this year, refiled and added a little more commercial property, 220 feet, which you can see in your exhibit that Nathan gave you this morning, that I collected last night from the city. I couldn't get it over till late last night to get it to me. So all that is recorded recorded at the courthouse and switched over. And the RCP and all that property was done in 2020. So those are the questions I asked, and I want to know, how do you assess urban renewal? How do you come up with that dollar amount? And how do you assess our undeveloped ground for urban renewal and for undeveloped ground, for commercial and residential? How do you assess undeveloped ground?
All right, thank you. We'll turn some time over to you. Okay, thank you. The assessor.
You're welcome.
I'm Anita Hyman, the assessor-elect, and this is our commercial appraiser, Jason. I'm actually going to turn it over to Jason, because he's the one who actually has spoken with Mr. Poppy the most. I will say, though, in the beginning, we have had a continuous contact with Mr. Poppy, and so, but I'm going to let Jason take it, because he's the one that actually, like I said, has had more conversation with him.
And there's a lot to kind of unravel there. I'm not sure where we want to start. One of the things that sticks out to me was the question about developer's exemption.
Okay, let's just start with number one.
Okay.
Okay, and that question was property tax extremely high, higher than other surrounding properties. Any comments on that?
We just want to know.
Not your turn. You gotta be quiet now, or I'll mute you or shut you off.
You have to tell me. Go ahead.
Okay.
I can tell you, if we're talking in relation to the other parcels that were subject to that decision over the summer, the reason any potential taxes would be different is just because the assessed value is going to be so different between the two, or between any of those parcels.
And all those properties were looked at, and during BOE, we looked at them. We raised the values because there was properties up there that had zero value on them. Nobody complained about that problem. But when we put the values on it, we had others come in and submitted their paperwork to oppose. Ken didn't do that, but that was a decision made by the BOE. So that's one reason why the surrounding properties are at a different value than what yours is. And I think that we as a board realized that we should have done just like we did an across-the-board raise, we should have done an across-the-board lower when the others come in and appealed for it. So that is an easy fix to me, is that we bring them in line with the surrounding properties that were there.
I agree with that.
Okay? So, to me, that answers number one. Paying property tax with PD that don't own. And all I'm getting is a furrowed brow here that nobody understands what you're asking here. You gentlemen?
So,
State your name for the record, please.
Nathan Wells with Portnoy Development. So we sold 34 acres to the westmost of our property, and that was in May, I believe, last year, and we're still getting assessed for those property taxes.
And I can speak to the portion of research that we've done on that. So, excuse me. There was a parcel that was split into 3 pieces, and 2 of those pieces were sold to Brolams in May of 2022. Because of the time of year that occurred in, the actual split and the resulting new parcels aren't going to show up until the 2023 assessment year. And so that's why if you were to go on Parcel View, you're not going to find all of that information. And we had reached out to the title company that had handled the transaction. One of our questions was there any sort of tax anticipation that was done, monies taken that could have been sent our way, because when I spoke with the treasurer's office, we didn't show any record of anything coming. And so when we were able to speak with the title company, they confirmed that at the time of the transaction, all of the 2021 taxes had already been paid. And because there was no bill for any 2022 taxes yet, there was no tax anticipation payments taken by the title company. And so when that tax bill finally came out, it was for that original parcel.
Okay. All right. Number 3, PD explained what is Northgate Urban Renewal. Anybody want to touch urban renewal?
Is that the TIF district up there?
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure what he's asking. I mean, it's going to affect urban renewal, but it's going to affect the TIF. If we change anything, it will affect that. Because it'll be taking monies away. They won't get money from that TIF this year. Or that,
Yeah, for the urban, and
For the urban,
basically
yeah.
our budget was set on the value, or their budget would be set on what the valuations were given, because we have not received an exemption request prior to valuations being set. So they're gonna count on this money, and if you change the values now, they won't get it.
And that total difference is what, approximately? We talked, it was like,
Yesterday, we thought it was 80,000, but
97.
I'm not sure where this 97,909 came from.
It says right on the tax statement.
Okay. But is all of it due to the urban, or is part of it due to the school district? Because that's the other thing, is not all the money is going to go to the urban district, some of it's going to go to the school.
Yeah.
and we haven't seen those papers you're looking at, so I don't know what exactly you're looking at.
I think what
That's
we're,
$97,000.
I think our concern is we're getting assessed that urban renewal, but the surrounding property around us isn't.
Is not, yeah.
So I don't think we're debating that. It's just the word we're getting.
If the entity is, if any of those parcels up there are a part of the urban renewal district, that money's going to the urban renewal district. So it's not, if your neighbor is in the same district that you are, your neighbor's paying to the urban no differently than you are. It may not show it on the tax bill, but they are.
Okay, that's not what Ken's finding with what, because there's a lot of property around us.
I'm not sure what Kim's looking at, but that's how it works.
If you pull, can I speak?
Go ahead.
If you pull down on the email, on the paperwork, it will show the boundaries of the urban renewal from Putnam Health Trust all the way up east, all the way to everything that was annexed in. That's urban renewal. They're not showing that they're paying anything east of Olympus Road. I need this proof. I need you to show me that everybody east on that, I think it's almost 1,800 acres or so, they are paying urban renewal for undeveloped ground. And that's what we're paying. And if you look, it's undeveloped ground, and it's not commercial, it's RCP. In those two tax forms that Nathan brought in, you can see one is RCP and one is commercial. And the commercial is being taxed higher on urban renewal, and then it is RCP. All that property down below is, most 90% is RCP. The property above us from Olympus up, that 79 acres plus the 20 acres that we sold to Putnam Health Trust is commercial. And the way I see it, they're not paying, none of the property east is paying urban renewal. I need to have the county show us that they are paying urban renewal, because it's not showing on Viewer Finder that they're not paying that, the total tax, and it should be showing that, because they're only paying $7,000 on 15, 20 acres, commercial, which we were paying $97,000 for. That's my concern.
Jennifer Clark, treasurer, that's all determined by the value. The urban renewal.
That's right.
The urban renewal is still
Okay,
taxes. The
Go ahead.
urban renewal is still taxes based off whatever value is on the property. So, but what we would need to know is what parcels you're referring to that aren't paying into urban renewal, because it's based off of the area that the district was put on. So if you could let me know what parcels you're referring to that aren't paying, but regardless of that, the levy is going to be the same regardless of where it is. It's just going to read differently. It would be showing going to the city versus going to urban renewal.
Yeah, and you got it in the questionnaire in the work session on the bottom page. And I did type in some of the parcel numbers going to the east, and you can see everything urban renewal that's in from the city that they have. If you scroll down.
So how updated is Parcel Viewer with this type of information? Is it not updated with everything
It
correctly yet?
should be updated with their renewal, because those should have rolled in with the 2022 values.
Well, I can tell you that we're not gonna get that answered in this session. Urban renewal, parts of it, the county doesn't play a big role in that. We're kicked out.
And we can go back.
I just want to be treated fairly with everybody else. That's all.
Well, and that, the part of it that the county is responsible for, I'm gonna ask Commissioner Huff here in just a minute. We'll make a motion that will equal your values with the surrounding values as we did in BOE, because I believe that was something that we as commissioners in BOE, like I say, you had the opportunity to come and talk to us, you didn't do that, so there's a little bit of responsibility on both sides, but to be equal and to treat everybody the same, I believe that we can treat you the same as we did the surrounding properties that come in and appeal their property.
Okay, can I respond to that?
Yeah.
I did not get no notification. I was told after the meeting in June, how come I wasn't in there? And that's why I got with the assessor's office, and none of my paperwork never came, and they were gonna respond and get that to me. I have no paperwork delivered to my house at 1754 Cottage, which they said I did, in which I need evidence that it was delivered to my house.
Well, I'm just telling you, Ken, that because we're being kind, we're gonna evaluate you, even though it was sent out to you, that's all we can do. We can't come to your house and hand deliver it, so we're gonna just make we'll see what the motion is here in just a minute. How's that?
Okay, perfect. That's all I care.
Anita, do you have the exact parcel numbers that we need to adjust?
Yes, you have the parcel.
Or Jason?
It is one parcel.
Okay, would you read that parcel number for us?
Yes, it is parcel RPCPP 147405.
Okay, and we need to adjust that value. Well, can we adjust value here? Do we have to offset the taxes instead?
We're canceling taxes in this.
Okay, so we need to cancel taxes in the amount of, we don't have an amount
But it's
yet.
gonna be based off the value that you tell me. I will calculate the taxes based off whatever value they tell me to cancel.
Okay, is that right? Okay, so we've got the parcel number. What's the value?
So the original value was $9,555,320. To bring it in line with what happened with the other parcels, the new corrected value would be lowered down to $2,388,830.
Okay, so on the parcel identified, I make a motion that we cancel the taxes based on the new tax valuation that was given of 2 million, whatever the number was there. You got that number? Thank you. Is that appropriate? Is that what we need to do?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, we have a motion. Everyone in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, so we've changed over $7 million in value. So thank you, Ken. Hope it warms up for you down there.
They will. Can I have one more question and see if you can figure this out too, real quick?
Well, it's a good thing it's a holiday season. We got a schedule we're trying to keep up with.
I don't, maybe you can have the assessor's office look into it. The developer exemption.
Yeah, we'll have to have them look into that.
Yeah, if you can, that's all I ask.
Okay. We can do that.
Okay, thank you for your time.
All right, thank you, Ken.
Thanks. All right, bye.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Looks like Shanda? Who are you with, sir?
I'm just here for an audit. This is my first contact general with the commissioners.
Okay. Okay. I never did have anybody from the Masonic Lodge show up, so I was just wanted to clarify if you was waiting to participate.
Shanda Crystal, Chief Procurement Officer. I have 4 items before the board today. The first one is an opportunity to discuss any updates on the Safety and Assessment Center. The clerk did have to excuse himself from this meeting, but he did stop by to say he got a text last night that said we are on their agenda to review our offer, and cross our fingers, hopefully we'll have a written counter offer. We're hoping this week, early next week, but we are on their agenda with the update that he left with me before he exited. The second item I wanted to talk to the board, I was hoping the coroner was going to be able to join us, but he must have been called away in regards to his cell phone. So he has his personal cell phone that we've been paying stipends for, but sorry, do please correct.
He's not getting a stipend, I don't believe.
Oh, but he is using his personal.
Yes.
Okay.
And he did text me and say he wasn't going to be able to make it.
Okay.
He is not getting a stipend. We are paying for one cell phone for the chief deputy.
Okay, I do apologize, but the fact that he is using his personal cell phone does not allow us to put his first responder priority on. If things were to go crazy, if there was a huge emergency in Bannock County, the cell phone towers are geared to put priority on first responders for their cell phones. So any of them that run through the county that have certain titles, right, we're able to put that first responder on. And this was just brought about as the sheriff's office switched theirs. All of their deputies now hold county cell phones that have that same priority on. As we're getting things cleaned up and righted, we will have a section now in our policy stating those job titles that are allowed to have the first responder on it, and how and why they need to be county cell phones, because that is how we can get them on that list, approved on their list. It can't be a personal cell phone, regardless of their title or job that they perform for us. So it would be my recommendation that we switch his from a personal to a county. He said he had been in contact with Christie, and they felt that there was funds available for that. And just that if that's approved, right, then they'll move funds through.
And I'm not sure, since this is going to be just him getting a new county phone,
Right.
or being assigned a county phone, I'm not even sure if this needed to come to you. Because it's a normal operations.
Okay.
But that's not the original intent of how it evolved, so I think you had gotten on the agenda before.
Well, he talked to me
Yeah.
about it when we was up in Idaho Falls last week, and he was wondering what to do.
Yeah.
So he had a lot of questions. So,
Yeah.
no, I think that coming before us like this and just saying, yeah, let's set the procedure, and especially where he has that extra part on it with the 911 or the emergency. I think it's a good discussion.
Okay.
But then he'll continue through Christie to move funds or make.
He doesn't need to move money, because he's just going to buy, yeah.
Gotcha. So sorry, right? I'm still stuck on that. Okay.
It's okay. You have a few things going on.
But we'll move forward, right, and get him set up on that and make sure the chief is already, right, set. And then I haven't been able to, but we'll reach out to Christie. Just if there's anybody else that is receiving stipends that potentially should be on that first responders, we just need to have that conversation of, just to make sure that we get everybody.
The only, I don't think there is,
Okay.
because it would just be first responders.
Right? And then my understanding was the sheriff's office all switched over to county?
Yep. The only other one would be Wes, and he's
County?
already got a county phone.
Yep.
So this should be the last
Okay.
straggler.
Excellent. Okay. And we'll get that cleaned up and then have it as part of the policy as well. Okay.
And then you'll just order him a phone, and
Mhm.
we'll see the bills come through.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay.
Yep. And he does have, because of the tablets, he already has a Verizon, so it's just going to be added to that bill. Is
Perfect.
where you'll, excuse me, where you'll see it. Great. The next item is a review and a request for signature on a contract use form to upgrade the intercom system at the detention center. So as part of the process of having the contract use form, it was submitted to legal for review, and there was an item that we want to bring to the board's attention. On page 1 of the contract, as they number it, section 2, governing laws and venue, it does say that it will be governed by the laws and rules and regulations of the state of Utah.
I saw that.
Yes, so then, I'm glad Brian's here, but my understanding is then the Idaho law doesn't allow this. If we were to have an issue, it would need to be done in Idaho. So
That's correct, and
then,
Alan spoke with you?
Yes,
He told me,
mhm,
and so that,
yeah.
he gave you that advice as well?
yes,
And so,
mhm, yep. And so then, as Alan and I spoke, we did, all contracts, right, that come before the board have risks associated with them. And so then, as Alan and I talked about, we reviewed a couple different pieces of this risk. One is the level of risk, and the other one is the occurrence. And we felt that the level of risk was at the lowest level of risk. The chances of us, not the chance, the item. So what this would entail, if we had a lawsuit in regards to this contract, there would be an additional decision made about where we would adjudicate, whether it be in Utah or Idaho. So there would be additional expenses incurred. And then we also discussed the risk of occurrence, which we felt was remote. The company that we are dealing with in this case is a established company that we've been in business with in the past. It is not impossible, which is why we wanted to discuss it with the board, but we do feel it was a remote possibility that we would run into something that would be rise to the level that we would need to bring lawyers involved. So procurement would recommend to the board and a discussion, and then I would recommend that we move forward and sign the contract use and move forward with the purchase. But if you have any other questions.
I've talked with you about it. I know what it says, but in the bid process, it seems like we get into this more and more in what's going on, so I have no problem.
I agree with the risk assessment, so based on that, I'm comfortable going forward as well. So, and where this is a company we've used before and have an established relationship, I'm comfortable with that. So, Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we go ahead and approve the contract request for the intercom system as presented.
You have a motion? All in favor, say aye.
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 So I had contacted the company just to understand if we move forward, what the next steps would look like. They will reach out, we'll have the sheriff's office representative, Levi Waldron, reach out as far as what our needs are. And they will get back with a quote to the sheriff's office. Once the sheriff approves that quote, right, they'll move forward with the purchase. So that's how that one will move forward.
Okay.
The last item I have before the board is a general procurement update. We have been busy, as Christine mentioned earlier, getting things either closed out and done for the winter or closing out bid processes or starting new ones. So I do want to start with the first one, planning and development survey review. While the dollar amounts that we spend on survey review for planning and development doesn't reach the level that we are required by Idaho code to do any type of procurement, in talking with their department, it is something that they want to make open and available to anybody in Bannock County that would like to do this. So we are going to follow very closely the procurement as far as like a request for qualification goes, is the process that we are going to follow, and then make it open and available to all survey reviewers that are interested. And they'll follow a process. We'll award multiple awards, very similar to what they have now. But then the final step would be that we actually enter into contract with these individuals. So that one is starting, gathering up specifications, and then I do anticipate this coming before the board shortly after the holidays. The next one is the Event Center Concert Production Services. We did a bid opening on Tuesday, received one bid, and that is under review. I would anticipate a recommendation coming before the board on Tuesday prior to the holidays, going out for the holidays. The next one that we did was GIS aerial imagery. We also opened that on Tuesday, received 3 proposals, and they are under review. GIS was very pleased with how it is going forward so far, and those will be reviewed and come back before the board after the holidays. The 2 projects that we are buttoning up for the winter is the Event Center Wellness Gravity Sewer System. They were able to complete the south side of the project, and so that is all gravity fed now. They won't need any mechanics or anything as far as the south side goes. But the north side, they were only able to complete a section of that work before the snow got too bad, and they also decided not to tear up the walk path. So then if people use it throughout the winter, right, that would still be available, and they'll begin that in the spring. So that is closed up for the winter. The other project that has weather concerns is the landfill Cell 4 Phase 2 liner expansion project. And that one, we had our fingers crossed for a long time that the weather would cooperate, that it would warm up enough that we could lay the liner. Mother Nature was not on board this year, and it just never did warm back up enough that we could complete that project. So there's only a small section of work, but we did need to close that up for the winter. And we're still using the old cell right now, and there are potential plans if that one gets full before we're able to finish, that we'll still be able to move forward and use the new portion of the new cell. But as soon as Mother Nature complies and spring hits, they'll be ready to go and finish up that project and have it done. And that is all I have for the board, unless you have any questions.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
I've been busy.
Thank you.
All right, Braden?
Braden Clayson, Chief of Staff. I have only one item before you, and it is a follow-up item. The grants that we were seeking, based in context with whoever we can get hired for the consultant position for the forensic pathology facility, we did receive. They have been run through the grant team. We received the intent today, and the grant is in process. So just wanted to make sure that you guys had seen that so we could follow procedure as close as we could. This one was rushed through. It did seem, however, that this grant was sent in to us about a month ago, so we did have it. It was not, I don't know that it was tracking the right department. It went to the coroner's office rather than going toward the forensic pathology facility itself. So that is all I have for you.
Okay.
And it's attached in the packet, so you guys can review that as well.
What's the amount? Did they apply for the whole amount?
They applied for $15,000, and I think it includes 2 computers, 2 cameras, and a coroner software, I believe, for $5,000. But I think it'll be applied today.
Pending commission approval.
Yes, pending commission's approval, obviously.
Well, then, given that, I would make a motion that we authorize submission for the grant for the forensic pathology center.
You have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
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 We want to authorize them to file electronically on behalf.
Are you okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Chair, then I would amend that to authorize her to apply on behalf of Bannock County electronically.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We have one last item. Masonic building. Nobody showed up for that. They are entitled to the break on their taxes. Do you want to make them come?
Made everybody else come.
Okay, we'll hold off on that one.
Give them one more chance.
And with that being said, we did